What if I told you that your most challenging family member chose to play that exact role in your life? Picture this. Before you were born, before you took your first breath in this world, your soul gathered with other souls in a place beyond time. In this sacred space, you made agreements, contracts, if you will. You chose who would be your mother, your father, your siblings, and they chose you in return. But here's what might surprise you. You didn't choose the easy roles. You chose the difficult ones, the souls who would trigger you most, challenge you deepest, push you to your very limits. These were your greatest friends in the realm of spirit, and they volunteered to forget their divine nature, to take on the role of the difficult parent, the critical sibling, the family member who seems to understand you least. This isn't fantasy. This is the profound truth that Edgar Cayce revealed through thousands of psychic readings as he accessed what he called the Akashic Records, the cosmic library where every soul's journey is written. For over 40 years, this remarkable man would enter a trance-like state and speak directly from the source of all knowing. And what he discovered about families will change everything you thought you knew about why your relationships feel the way they do. You see, families aren't biological accidents. They aren't random collections of people who happen to be born into the same household. Families are carefully orchestrated soul groups, spiritual communities that have been traveling together for lifetimes, switching roles, healing wounds, and helping each other evolve. That mother who never seemed to understand you, she may have been your daughter in another lifetime. That sibling who always felt like a stranger, perhaps you were married to them 300 years ago. That father whose approval you could never earn. In your last life together, you might have been the parent who withheld love from him. By the end of our journey together today, you'll understand why your family dynamics feel so intensely familiar, even when they're painful. You'll see why certain patterns repeat not just in your household, but across generations. And you'll discover how past life connections explain everything from sibling rivalry to parental wounds. This isn't just family therapy. This is cosmic justice. Every difficult relationship in your family is a sacred assignment disguised as personal drama. Every trigger, every wound, every moment of confusion. These are doorways to understanding the deeper spiritual curriculum that you and your family souls are working through together. Your family isn't broken. It's breaking through patterns that may have persisted for centuries. And you are the one who chose to incarnate at exactly this moment in your soul group's evolution to help heal what has been waiting to be healed. Edgar Cayce possessed something that no family therapist, no psychologist, no relationship expert has ever had: direct access to the soul's memory. While others could only observe behavior and guess at its origins, Cayce could trace family dynamics back through time itself. In his deepest meditative states, he would access what mystics call the Hall of Records, a dimension where every soul's journey is stored, every relationship documented, every karmic debt recorded. Over the course of his remarkable life, Cayce gave more than 14,000 psychic readings, and within those readings, over 10,000 revealed the intricate web of past life relationships that shape our present family experiences. But these weren't theories. They weren't psychological frameworks or spiritual philosophies. These were documented revelations of specific past life connections that explained present family dynamics with startling accuracy. A woman would come to Cayce, troubled by her relationship with her teenage son, who seemed to hate her for no apparent reason. In trance, Cayce would reveal that in their most recent past life, she had been a harsh stepmother who had mistreated this same soul when he was a vulnerable child. The unexplainable hostility suddenly made perfect sense. It was soul memory seeking resolution. A man struggling with an overbearing father would discover that in ancient Egypt, their roles had been reversed. The father had been his servant, and he had been the cruel master. Now the universe was providing an opportunity for both souls to experience the other side of that power dynamic. What Cayce revealed was revolutionary. Families aren't just learning together in this lifetime. They're continuing conversations that began centuries ago. They're working through karmic assignments that have been building across multiple incarnations. Your family members aren't just the people who happen to share your DNA. They're the souls who have agreed to walk through time with you, lifetime after lifetime, taking turns being the teacher and the student, the parent and the child, the one who loves and the one who learns to receive love. This changes everything about how we understand family pain, family patterns, and family healing. Before you incarnated into this lifetime, something extraordinary happened. Your soul, along with the souls who would become your family, gathered in what Cayce described as the interlife. That space between lifetimes where planning occurs. Imagine this scene. A circle of light beings, each one radiating pure love, each one carrying the wisdom of countless lifetimes. These souls look back at their shared history together, the times they've loved, the times they've hurt each other, the lessons they've learned and the lessons still needed, and then, with infinite compassion for each other's growth, they begin to choose roles for the upcoming lifetime. Who will be the parent who struggles to show affection, so that the others can learn to love themselves without external validation? Who will be the sibling who seems to get all the attention, so that another can develop inner strength and self-worth? Who will be the family member who battles addiction, so that the others can learn about unconditional love and healthy boundaries? These aren't random assignments. They're sacred contracts, made in love, designed for growth. Your family isn't a collection of broken people trying to figure life out. Your family is a spiritual theater troupe, and each member has volunteered to play exactly the role that will serve everyone's highest evolution. The mother who seems cold, she's teaching you to find warmth within yourself. The father who's always absent, he's helping you learn that your worth doesn't depend on anyone else's presence or approval. The sibling who seems to get everything easily, they're showing you that comparison is the enemy of inner peace. But here's the beautiful paradox that Cayce's readings revealed. The family member who triggers you most is often your greatest spiritual teacher in disguise. The soul who makes you feel most frustrated, most misunderstood, most challenged. That soul loves you so deeply that they were willing to temporarily forget their own divine nature to help you remember yours. Your family isn't breaking down. It's breaking through karmic patterns that may have persisted for millennia. Every argument, every moment of tension, every feeling of why doesn't this person understand me, is actually a sacred opportunity to heal something ancient, something that has been waiting lifetimes for resolution. The question isn't why your family is difficult. The question is, what are you all learning together that's so important it's worth multiple lifetimes to master? You've felt it, haven't you? That sense that your family relationships are somehow bigger than this lifetime. Maybe it's the way your mother's voice can trigger an emotional reaction that seems completely out of proportion to whatever she actually said. Or how your relationship with your father feels loaded with an unexplained intensity, as if you're having a conversation that started long before either of you was born. Perhaps you've noticed how certain conflicts in your family seem to repeat with almost mathematical precision. The same themes, the same wounds, the same misunderstandings, as if you're all reading from a script that none of you can remember writing. Or maybe you've experienced that strange phenomenon of meeting a family member for the first time. A distant relative perhaps, or a half-sibling you never knew existed, and feeling an immediate, inexplicable connection or repulsion, as if your soul recognizes them from somewhere your mind can't quite access. This isn't dysfunction. This is soul memory bleeding through the veil of forgetfulness that covers each new incarnation. Cayce's readings revealed that when souls who have shared multiple lifetimes encounter each other again, there's always a moment of recognition, not necessarily conscious recognition, but a deep cellular knowing that whispers, "I know you, we've done this before." Sometimes that recognition feels like coming home. Sometimes it feels like danger, but it's always intense, because your spirit is responding not just to who this person is now, but to the entire history you've shared together across time. That immediate dislike you feel toward a certain family member, your soul remembers how that relationship ended last time. The inexplicable guilt you carry about a sibling, part of you recalls a lifetime where you were unable to protect them when they needed you most. The way your parents' approval seems so impossibly important to you. Your soul memory knows what it felt like to lose their love before. But here's what changes everything. Understanding this transforms you from victim to student. Every family trigger becomes a doorway to healing something ancient. Every difficult dynamic becomes a sacred assignment that you actually chose to work through. Your spirit recognizes these souls because you've been traveling together, learning together, growing together across centuries. The relationships that feel most charged, most complex, most emotionally intense, these carry your deepest spiritual curriculum. The family member who pushes all your buttons isn't your enemy. They're your teacher. And the lessons they're here to help you learn are so important to your soul's evolution that you planned multiple lifetimes together just to make sure you finally get it right. But recognition is just the beginning. The real revelation comes when you discover which roles you've all played before. What if I told you that the parent who seems incapable of nurturing you was once your child desperately seeking your love? This is the mirror that Cayce's readings held up for thousands of families. The revolutionary understanding that we've all been everything to each other. Parent and child, sibling and sibling, protector and protected. The souls in your family have played every possible role together across lifetimes. The mother who feels emotionally distant might have been your son in medieval times, learning what it's like to have a mother who couldn't express love freely. The controlling father who never lets you make your own decisions could be the soul who was once your servant, and you were the master who never allowed them autonomy. That sibling who seems to get away with everything, while you're held to impossible standards. In your last lifetime together, the roles may have been exactly reversed. They were the responsible one, you were the rebel. And now you're both learning the other side of that dynamic. Cayce revealed case after case where family tensions dissolved once people understood these role reversals. A woman who resented her brother's seeming freedom discovered that in ancient Greece, she had been the favored son, while he was the daughter with no rights. The universe was ensuring that both souls experienced every side of privilege and restriction. This isn't about punishment. The cosmos doesn't operate on revenge. This is about completeness, about each soul experiencing every aspect of love, every challenge of relationship, every opportunity for growth. Your current family challenges aren't evidence that you've failed at something. They're opportunities to heal from a different angle what couldn't be resolved before. The parent who withholds approval might be the soul you once rejected when they needed your acceptance most. Look at your family's most difficult dynamics with new eyes. The relationship that triggers the most emotion, the most resistance, the most pain, that's likely where the deepest healing is waiting to happen. But here's the beautiful part. When you understand that everyone in your family has been both the wounded and the wounder, both the beloved and the one learning to love, something remarkable happens. Blame transforms into compassion, resentment becomes curiosity, and the family member who seemed like your greatest challenge reveals themselves as your most dedicated teacher. Notice how your family's patterns mirror your own deepest struggles. The parent who can't say "I love you" might be reflecting your own difficulty with vulnerability. The sibling who seems selfish could be showing you where you still need to learn about your own worth. This isn't coincidence. It's cosmic choreography. Your souls have been dancing together across time, and every step of this dance is designed to help each of you evolve beyond the limitations that have kept you bound to the same patterns, lifetime after lifetime. The family that triggers you most isn't your burden. They're your soul group, and they love you enough to help you become who you're meant to be. How do you know when past life karma is active in your family? The signs are everywhere, once you learn to recognize them. It's in the instantaneous emotional reactions that seem completely out of proportion to what's actually happening. Your father makes an offhand comment about your career choices, and suddenly you're 8 years old again, feeling crushed and defensive. That's not just childhood trauma. That's soul memory of a lifetime, where his disapproval may have cost you everything. It's in the family conflicts that follow the same script, generation after generation. The pattern of emotional distance between mothers and daughters that goes back as far as anyone can remember. The way the men in your family seem unable to express love, creating a legacy of sons who grow up feeling unseen. These aren't just learned behaviors. They're karmic themes that your soul group has been working through across multiple incarnations. It's in those family members who feel like old souls to each other, where conversation flows like you've been talking for centuries, where understanding happens without words, where you can sense each other's moods from across the house. That deep familiarity isn't just compatibility, it's recognition of a bond that has been strengthening across lifetimes. And sometimes it's in the mysterious connections with relatives you barely know. The great aunt who left you something meaningful in her will, even though you met her only once. The cousin who lives across the country, but somehow always calls exactly when you need to hear from someone. The family member who died before you were born, but whose photograph makes you feel an inexplicable sense of loss. Cayce taught that the relationships carrying the heaviest karmic assignments are often the ones that feel most charged. If thinking about a particular family member immediately brings up strong emotions, if their name alone can shift your entire mood, if you find yourself having imaginary conversations with them, rehearsing what you wish you could say, that relationship is carrying unfinished business from previous lifetimes. But here's what's crucial to understand. Karmic debt isn't about punishment. It's about completion. Your soul chose to incarnate with these particular people because together you can resolve what couldn't be finished before. The family member who seems impossible to please might be offering you the opportunity to learn that your worth isn't dependent on anyone else's approval. The relative who always seems to need rescuing could be helping you understand the difference between love and codependency. The one who triggers your anger might be showing you parts of yourself that are still seeking healing. Pay attention to which family relationships make you feel most reactive. Those reactions are spiritual gold. They're pointing directly toward the areas where your soul is ready to graduate from old patterns. But understanding karmic debt is only half the story. The real transformation comes when you learn to access the deeper records, where you can see not just the conflicts, but the complete picture of love that exists between your souls. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine walking into the most magnificent library you've ever seen. The shelves stretch infinitely upward, filled not with books, but with living light that contains every memory, every experience, every moment of love and learning that has ever occurred. This is the hall of records that Cayce accessed. The Akashic dimension, where your family's complete spiritual history is stored. In this sacred space, you can trace the golden thread that connects you to each member of your family across all time. You see not just the difficult moments, the conflicts, the wounds, but the complete tapestry of your relationships, the times you've sacrificed for each other, the moments of profound love, the lifetimes where you've protected, nurtured, and cherished one another. The sister who seems cold and distant today, in ancient Rome, she might have died in your arms, whispering words of love as you held her through her final moments. The parent who struggles to show affection. Perhaps in medieval times, they gave up their life to save yours. And now their soul carries a memory of love so deep that this lifetime's personality can barely contain. Cayce's readings revealed that every family member has played both the beloved and the challenger across lifetimes. The relative who seems to cause nothing but problems today may be the soul who once carried you to safety during a natural disaster, or who nursed you through a plague, or who chose to remain unmarried for an entire lifetime just to care for your children when you died young. When you access your family's Akashic archives, you discover something profound. There are no victims and no villains in your soul group. There are only souls who have been learning together, playing every conceivable role, experiencing every side of love and loss and redemption. Your family's current configuration, with all its challenges, all its dynamics, all its complicated relationships, represents the optimal setup for each soul to learn what they most need in this lifetime. The difficult family member isn't actually a problem to be solved. They're serving the group's highest evolution by playing exactly the role that will trigger everyone's deepest growth. That parent who never says, "I'm proud of you." They might be the soul who praised you so much in a past life that you became dependent on external validation. Now they're helping you learn to find that approval within yourself. The sibling who seems to resent your success, perhaps in your last lifetime together, You were the one who struggled with jealousy while they flourished. The universe is giving you both the chance to heal that dynamic from the other side. When you understand the complete picture of your family relationships, when you see not just this lifetime's roles, but the eternal love that underlies all the temporary costumes, everything changes. Resentment transforms into gratitude. Fear becomes curiosity. And the family members who seemed like your greatest challenges reveal themselves as your most devoted spiritual allies. Your family chose each other not despite the difficulties, but because of them. The souls who love you most are willing to play the hardest roles to help you evolve. Look closely at your family tree, and you'll see something remarkable. The same patterns, cascading through generations like water flowing downhill. The grandfather's unresolved anger that he never learned to express in healthy ways becomes the father's depression as that energy turns inward, becomes the son's addiction as he tries to numb the emotional inheritance he can't understand. The grandmother's fear of abandonment, rooted in a childhood of loss, becomes the mother's need to control everyone she loves, becomes the daughter's inability to trust intimate relationships. These aren't just psychological patterns passed down through learned behavior. Cayce revealed something far more profound. These are soul agreements, multi-generational healing projects where entire family lines incarnate together to finally resolve karmic themes that have persisted across centuries. Your great-grandmother's struggle with self-worth didn't disappear when she died. That energy, that lesson, that opportunity for healing was passed to the next soul in line who was strong enough to carry it. And if your grandmother couldn't complete the healing in her lifetime, the pattern moved to your mother. And if your mother is still working through it, the energy has now reached you. But here's what's beautiful about this system. Each generation doesn't just inherit the wounds. They also inherit all the strength, all the wisdom, all the spiritual progress that came before them. You're not starting from scratch with your family's karmic patterns. You're building on the foundation of every ancestor who has worked toward healing. Cayce taught that souls often incarnate in the same family lines repeatedly, taking different roles in different lifetimes. The grandmother who struggled with addiction in this lifetime might have been your daughter in another incarnation, learning what it feels like to love someone who battles substances. The father who seems emotionally unavailable today could be a soul who was once the overly attached mother, now learning about healthy emotional boundaries. Every family's generational patterns contain both the wound and the medicine. The family line that struggles with anger often produces the peacemaker. The lineage marked by emotional distance births the child who becomes a healer of hearts. The ancestors who battled addiction create the descendant who helps others find recovery. You didn't incarnate into your family accidentally. You chose this particular genetic and karmic line because your soul was ready to be the one who finally transforms what has been waiting for transformation. The patterns that seem like burdens are actually your inheritance of power, concentrated energy that, when understood and redirected, becomes the source of your greatest gifts. Your personal healing doesn't just affect you. When you break a karmic pattern, when you choose a different response than the generations before you, you create a ripple effect that moves both backward and forward through time. You free your ancestors from the need to keep repeating the same lessons, and you ensure that your descendants won't have to carry the same wounds. The family dysfunction you've experienced isn't evidence of failure, it's evidence of courage. Your soul group has been working on something so important, so fundamental, that you've been willing to incarnate together lifetime after lifetime, generation after generation, until you finally get it right, and you are the one who chose to be born at exactly this moment in your family's evolution to complete what has been waiting to be completed. Now comes the moment that determines everything. The cosmic choice that will either graduate you from your family's karmic classroom or bind you to repeat the same lessons with increasing intensity. You know the truth now. You understand that every challenging family member is actually a soul who loves you enough to play the difficult role in your mutual evolution. You see how the patterns that seemed like punishments are actually perfectly designed spiritual curriculum. But knowledge alone doesn't create transformation. You must choose what to do with this understanding. Will you continue to react to your family from the wounded parts of your personality? Will you keep expecting them to change first, to apologize first, to be different before you can respond with love? Will you hold on to the identity of victim, even though you now know that you chose these challenges for your own growth? Or will you become the family member who finally chooses evolution over reaction, who responds to souls rather than personalities, who breaks the chain of karmic repetition through the radical act of unconditional understanding? This choice isn't about becoming a doormat or accepting abuse. Healthy boundaries are part of spiritual maturity, but true boundaries come from love, not fear, from clarity, not resentment, from understanding your soul's purpose, not from trying to control others. Cayce taught that souls can graduate from family karma when they learn to see every relationship as an opportunity to express the love of the divine through human form. When you can look at the family member who triggers you most and think, what would love do here? Instead of how can I protect myself or get them to change? You've stepped into mastery. The costs of continuing the old patterns are steep. Every time you react from old wounds, you strengthen those neural pathways, making it more likely that you'll react the same way next time. Every time you meet your family's unconsciousness with your own unconsciousness, you miss an opportunity for healing and ensure that the pattern will need to repeat. But the payoffs of choosing differently are infinite. When you respond to your family members as souls having a human experience rather than humans who should know better, you create space for miracles. When you offer them the love you wish they would offer you, you often discover that they begin to soften in ways you never expected. And even if they don't change, even if they continue playing their challenging roles to perfection, you change. You become free from the need for their approval, their understanding, their transformation. You complete your part of the sacred contract with grace instead of resistance. Your family chose you, and you chose them, not for comfort, but for growth. Not for ease, but for evolution. Honor that sacred agreement by refusing to be the victim of your own spiritual curriculum. The family member who challenges you most isn't your enemy. They're your greatest teacher in the hardest disguise, and the degree to which you can receive their lessons with love, instead of resistance, is the measure of how ready your soul is to graduate to the next level of its eternal journey. When you truly understand the karmic context of your family relationships, every interaction becomes an opportunity for healing. But how do you practically apply this knowledge when you're sitting across from your mother at dinner and she makes that comment that always triggers you? How do you remember the soul perspective when your father is displaying the exact behavior that has frustrated you for decades? It begins with a simple shift in perception. Before any family interaction, take a moment to pause and remember. This person before me is not just a personality with wounds and habits. They are a soul, ancient and wise, who has agreed to play a specific role in my spiritual education. They are my teacher even when they don't know it. They are my mirror, reflecting back to me exactly what I need to see for my own evolution. When your mother criticizes your life choices, instead of hearing, "You're not good enough," you can listen for the soul question underneath. Have you learned to value yourself independently of others' opinions? Are you strong enough now to love yourself even when others don't understand your path? When your father remains emotionally distant, instead of feeling abandoned, you can recognize the spiritual invitation. Can you find your own source of emotional nourishment? Are you ready to stop seeking validation from someone who may not be capable of giving it in the way your personality wants, but who loves you deeply in ways your soul recognizes? When your sibling seems to get everything easily while you struggle, instead of falling into comparison, you can ask, what is my unique path teaching me that theirs cannot? How is my specific journey building strengths in me that will serve not just my evolution, but the healing of our entire soul group? This doesn't mean becoming passive or accepting harmful treatment. It means developing the spiritual maturity to respond rather than react, to meet unconscious behavior with consciousness, to offer what you can while protecting your own energy and well-being. Before family gatherings, holidays, or difficult conversations, you might say silently, I honor the soul journey we're sharing. I see beyond your personality to the divine being you truly are. I choose to respond from love rather than fear, from wisdom rather than woundedness. I'm here to serve both our highest evolution. Watch what happens when you approach family interactions as spiritual practice rather than personality management. When you see triggers as invitations to heal ancient patterns rather than evidence of your family's dysfunction. When you respond to the eternal rather than the temporary, to the love rather than the fear. Your family relationships become medicine. Each difficult moment becomes a chance to strengthen your spiritual muscles. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to demonstrate that love is stronger than any pattern, any wound, any karmic debt that exists between you. And often, when you consistently meet your family with this level of consciousness, something beautiful happens. Their souls begin to recognize that the old dynamics aren't working anymore, that you're no longer available to play the victim or the reactor, that you're holding space for something higher to emerge between you. The healing doesn't always happen quickly. Sometimes it takes months or even years for family patterns to shift. But your part is complete the moment you choose to respond as a soul rather than a wounded personality. The moment you offer love instead of demanding it. The moment you become the family member who finally breaks the chain of unconscious reaction with conscious response. Let me speak directly to the part of you that's thinking, this all sounds beautiful in theory, but you don't know my family. You don't understand how impossible my mother is, or how selfish my brother can be, or how my father has never once said he's proud of me. Some people are just difficult, and no amount of spiritual understanding is going to change that. I hear you. And you're absolutely right about one thing. Understanding the karmic context of your family relationships doesn't instantly transform difficult people into easy ones. Your mother might still be critical. Your father might still be emotionally unavailable. Your sibling might still seem to get everything while you struggle. But here's what changes. Your response to their difficulty becomes the gateway to your own freedom. That relative who pushes every button you have isn't your enemy. They're actually offering you the most advanced spiritual curriculum available on this planet. The opportunity to love unconditionally, not because they deserve it, not because they've earned it, but because you are ready to become the kind of soul who can offer love regardless of how it's received. Think about it this way. If you could only love easy people, people who never triggered you, people who always treated you well, what would that teach you about love? Nothing that you didn't already know, but learning to hold compassion for the family member who seems impossible to love. That transforms you into a being of such spiritual strength that no external circumstance can steal your peace. The aunt who always has something critical to say, she's showing you exactly where you still give your power away to other people's opinions. Every time you choose not to take her criticism personally, you reclaim a piece of your own sovereignty. The uncle who drinks too much at family gatherings and says hurtful things. He's demonstrating what happens when pain isn't processed consciously. His behavior is a mirror showing you the importance of your own emotional healing work. The parent who seems incapable of nurturing. They're teaching you the most important lesson of all, how to nurture yourself, how to give yourself the love you've been waiting to receive from them. This doesn't mean you have to spend unlimited time with difficult family members. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have boundaries or protect yourself from harmful behavior. Spiritual maturity includes the wisdom to know when to engage and when to step back. But it does mean recognizing that their difficulty is not about you. It's about their own unhealed wounds, their own karmic lessons, their own soul's journey toward wholeness. When you can see their behavior as a reflection of their own pain rather than a judgment of your worth, you become free from the need for them to be different. Your difficult family member is actually your greatest teacher in disguise. Every time they trigger you, they're showing you exactly where your own healing work needs to go. Every time you choose to respond with compassion instead of reaction, you strengthen your spiritual muscles in ways that will serve you for the rest of your life. You can hold space for the soul's beauty while protecting yourself from the personality's dysfunction. You can love them and have boundaries. You can honor the spiritual contract you share while refusing to enable their unconscious behavior. The family member who seems most impossible to deal with is often the soul who loves you enough to take on the hardest role in your evolution. They're willing to be misunderstood, to be seen as difficult, to temporarily forget their own divine nature. All so that you can learn that your peace, your joy, your sense of worth can never be dependent on anyone else's behavior. That's not dysfunction. That's the deepest form of love imaginable. Now I want you to try something with me. Find a comfortable place to sit and allow your eyes to close. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw relax. Let yourself settle into this moment. Now in your mind's eye, imagine yourself standing in a circle of soft, golden light. This light is warm and welcoming, filled with a love so pure that you can feel it wrapping around you like the most comforting embrace you've ever experienced. And now, one by one, the souls of your family members begin to appear in this circle with you. But these aren't the personalities you know in daily life, with their wounds and their defenses and their difficult behaviors. These are their souls, their highest, most beautiful, most loving expressions. See your mother as she truly is. A being of infinite love who chose to incarnate as your parent to help both of you learn the deepest lessons about nurturing, boundaries, and unconditional acceptance. Notice how radiant she appears when freed from the armor of personality wounds. Watch your father step into the circle and see him not as the man who struggles to express emotion, but as the soul who volunteered to help you learn that your worth isn't dependent on anyone else's approval or attention. See the wisdom in his eyes, the love in his energy, the courage it took to play such a challenging role. If you have siblings, watch them join the circle one by one. See them not as competitors for attention or resources, but as fellow souls who chose to learn alongside you about sharing, cooperation, uniqueness, and the beauty of being part of something larger than yourself. Even the family members who have been most difficult, most challenging, most painful to deal with, see them now in their true essence, radiant beings of light who love you so much that they were willing to temporarily forget their own divine nature to help you remember yours. And now, in this space of perfect love and understanding, listen as each soul speaks their truth. I played the critical mother so you could learn to validate yourself. I played the absent father so you could discover your own inner strength. I played the golden child so you could learn that your value isn't based on comparison. I played the difficult relative so you could develop unconditional love. Feel the love that has always existed between your souls, underneath every argument, every misunderstanding, every moment of pain. This love is the foundation beneath all the temporary roles you've played together. This love is why you chose each other, lifetime after lifetime. Now imagine your future self, the version of you who has learned all the lessons this family configuration was designed to teach. This wise, loving, evolved version of yourself steps into the circle and whispers to you. Every family challenge was perfectly designed to teach you that love is stronger than any pattern, any wound, any karmic debt. Every difficult moment has been serving your transformation. Every trigger has been pointing you toward healing. Every relationship has been showing you different facets of the infinite love you truly are. Feel this future self's absolute confidence in your ability to transform every family challenge into wisdom, every trigger into healing, every difficult relationship into an opportunity for spiritual growth. Take one more deep breath in this circle of souls, feeling the gratitude that exists between all of you for the courage to undertake this journey of mutual evolution together. And when you're ready, slowly return your awareness to your physical body, carrying with you the knowing that your family's love for each other transcends any temporary difficulties. You are not a collection of wounded people trying to figure life out. You are a soul group, committed to each other's growth, willing to play whatever roles are necessary to help everyone evolve. The love is real, the challenges are temporary, and you have the power to be the family member who finally chooses healing over reaction, understanding over blame, service over defense.